A little over 1 year ago, I made a video called Before You Buy AM5, and much to my surprise, that video went on to pop off and do numbers and do things I never imagined possible. In fact, to this day, I'm still getting comments on that video, which we will talk about here in just a moment. But that video went on to open up the door for me to take the idea of AM5 and turn it into a 4-part video series. We talked about the Asus motherboard issues, we talked about the 7800X3D blowing up, we talked about the QVL list, and we talked about how to get your system stable. And overall, that was a pretty good time during the YouTube channel here. It grew my channel a lot. I got a lot of new subscribers from it, and it even opened up the door for me to talk to Asus and have a little bit of a working relationship with them. Not much, but a little bit of one. And so that was all pretty cool. But now here we are 1 year later, and going back to the comment section on that video, hey, it's been about a year. Do you now recommend AM5? Hey, is AM5 any better now? Hey, would you now recommend going with the AM5 platform? And we're going to talk about that. I'll give you the too long didn't read version, and then we'll go nitty gritty with all the details. But first, a quick shout out to all of my Patreon members. You all are incredibly awesome. Thank you for your continued support. I'm actively working on brand new benefits for all of you. If you haven't joined Patreon yet, check out the link in the pinned comment below, because you can join the Discord for only $1 and you get to be part of the conversations that lead into making videos just like this one. And now for the TLDR. Do I recommend AM5 in 2024? Yes, I do. Overwhelmingly and very confidently, yes, I do. But now let's talk about the nitty-gritty details about AM5. So if you rewind the clocks, you go back a little over a year, you find myself walking in the Micro Center looking to pick up my very first ever AM5 system. It consisted of an Asus ROG Strix motherboard, a 7800X3D, and a 32GB kit of DDR5 memory. Now, I went home and had a plethora of issues, which I documented very well in that very first video of Before You Buy AM5. Now, like I said before, that video went on to do numbers I never expected. In fact, if you go to Google right now and if you type in what is the AM5 platform, and if you scroll down to the video section, you will see that 2 out of the 3 videos that show up are my videos. So clearly, my videos had some type of impact on the algorithm and on people, and it went out there to reach a lot of people. Now, that's both a good and now in 2024, not so good of a thing. And let me explain. Now, look, a year ago, I was fine to get a comment like, hey, thank you for this video. I'm going to avoid AM5, because at that time, I was having issues and I knew other people would have issues. And in fact, JayzTwoCents talked about his issues and other creators talked about their issues. And so at that time, I didn't mind getting a comment like that. However, if you fast forward to today, July 2024, and when I see a comment come in such as, okay, hey, I'm gonna avoid AM5, I try to make sure I stop what I'm doing and I go and I leave a reply. Hey, I got a new video coming, which is this video, and AM5 is good now. I do recommend it. And so I say all that to say this right here. I'm trying to update the narrative. If you go back and look at the first 4 videos, and if you watch them in chronological order, which you can very easily do in my playlist, then the logic and the story and the actions and everything that took place makes a lot of sense. And there's still a lot of good value baked into those 4 videos. So they're not worth taking down, but they are worth updating and adding to so that people can understand the full story. It's important to document our history, and that's what I'm doing now, but I also want to get it right. And now we're at a point to where you got to give credit where credit is due, and AMD and AM5 has come a long way, and I do recommend it. Okay, great, we know you recommend it, but what specifically about the AM5 platform has improved? The short answer is basically everything. If you rewind the clocks and you go back about a year, pretty much every issue that people complained about, including myself, has basically been fixed today in July of 2024. Now let's talk about it and go down the list. Do you remember when the 7800X3D was blowing up? I don't mean blowing up in terms of popularity, I mean literally blowing up and catching fire. Well, Gamers Nexus did an entire video about that. Well, that's not a problem anymore. Basically, AMD worked with motherboard manufacturers, they pushed out BIOS updates, and they made sure that the SoC voltage was locked to a point that it would always be a safe limit so that we wouldn't have 7800X3Ds blowing up. I think the limit was 1.3 volts if I remember correctly. I think looking at the history of BIOS updates, you can see that that's the number they pushed out specifically. I'm not exactly sure that ever changed along the way, but what I am sure about is that the 7800X3D is running totally fine. I've had 2 7800X3Ds, neither one of them have blown up. I've used Gigabyte motherboards, I've used Asus motherboards, I have a friend who has a 7800X3D, I have a Discord full of people who have 7800X3Ds. That is just simply not a problem anymore. And if it was, then I'm sure Gamers Nexus and other bigger tech YouTubers would be covering it today. Okay, now let's talk about booting problems. Yes, I had a bunch of booting problems, but not just me. If you read my comment section, if you read some of the Reddit posts that I linked to in the descriptions of my video, you will see that a lot of people had a bunch of booting issues with their AM5 systems. My biggest issue was the inconsistency with booting. You see, I would come into my game room, power on my PC, everything would work totally fine. I would shut down my PC after I was done using it for the day, and the very next day, I would come back into the game room, power on the PC, and this time it would not post to Windows. And after waiting 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30 minutes at times, just to see if maybe it was trying the memory train or something like that, nothing would happen. So then I would completely kill the power to the PC by flipping the switch on my power supply in the back of the PC. I would then wait about 5 to 10 seconds, flip that switch back on, power on the PC, and now it would immediately post in the Windows, and I would proceed to have no issues for the rest of the day while using the PC. And then the next day it would boot fine, and then the day after that I would have to do the power cycle again, and this was a vicious cycle that just continued and continued for quite some time. And to this day, I still don't know the root cause of that problem. Now, what I can say is that today in July of 2024, this is no longer a problem. Thankfully, I walk in every day to my game room, I hit the power button, my system will turn on and boot into Windows totally fine with zero issues every single time. I no longer have to perform any kind of power cycle or anything like that, and I'm very grateful for it. Again, I don't know what the root cause was of those issues going back a year or whatever, but it has been fixed. Now, I have talked to people in my Patreon Discord. They're all fine. None of them have any kind of booting issues at all. And I now have 2 different AM5 motherboards. I have purchased 2 7800X3Ds, and I have 3 different DDR5 memory kits that have AMD Expo profiles on them, and everything works totally fine with zero issues. And so again, that's my use case. Everybody's use case is different, but from what I've been able to experience, booting problems seem to mostly be ironed out. Now, there are some tips and tricks and things I'm going to get into later in the video. Generally speaking, booting issues do seem to be fixed. Okay, now let's talk about the big one, RAM or memory or DDR5, however you want to refer to it for the sake of this video. Let's talk about probably the biggest issue that a lot of people have experienced with their AM5 systems, and that is RAM compatibility, RAM instability, and unknown RAM issues. RAM is so complicated that you can literally make an entire video dedicated to it, and frankly, maybe one day I will. But for the sake of this video, I will try to keep this as concise as humanly possible. So here's what you need to know. When it comes to picking RAM, unfortunately, it's not quite as simple as walking in the Micro Center and randomly picking up a kit off the wall and walking out and everything being totally fine. Unfortunately, it's not quite that simple. You do need to do a little bit of research, and here are the things you need to look out for. First and foremost, every motherboard manufacturer has something called a QVL. It stands for a qualified vendor list, and the idea behind this is that you can check the list and see the exact model number of a RAM kit that was used and verified to work with a CPU combination and a motherboard combination. And a lot of these QVLs even tell you if the RAM kit for that model is specifically made by SK Hynix or Samsung or Micron. And yes, the manufacturer of the RAM kit does in fact matter because some are better than others. For me, in my personal experience, SK Hynix has definitely been the best by far. Samsung has definitely been the worst for me on the AM5 platform, and I do not have any experience with Micron. Okay, great. So we have a dedicated list that tells us exactly what to buy. Now everything will be totally fine, right? Well, yes and no. All you need to know at the end of the day is that motherboard manufacturers do have a QVL, and generally speaking, it is wise to check it and buy a kit that is on that list. But you do need to be aware that these lists are maintained by your motherboard manufacturer, and so it is totally possible there is a discrepancy somewhere, and don't be overly surprised if you stumble across a discrepancy. Also, I would wager that now that we are a year plus into the life cycle of AM5, all of these QVLs QVLs are more than likely far more accurate today than what they were a year ago. However, with that being said, RAM compatibility and stability in general is far more better today in 2024 than it ever was a year ago. And to prove that, my current system is using the Asus ROG Strix X670EF gaming Wi-Fi motherboard, and I have it paired with a 32GB kit of DDR5 memory clocked at 6000 MHz of Corsair Dominator Platinum RAM, and this RAM kit specifically is not on this motherboard's QVL, and yet everything works totally fine. No crashes, no stuttering, no blue screens, nothing. So generally speaking, what I'm trying to say here is that it is wise to check your QVL, and if you do that, you're going to be fine more than likely, but hiccups and discrepancies could be possible, so just be mindful of that. And at the end of the day, it's totally possible to buy a RAM kit not on a QVL and it still be totally fine for your system and everything work out perfectly okay. And that's exactly what's happening with me and my current system. So that's a little bit to know there about RAM compatibility with your system. Okay, now it's time to talk about RAM speed, and before I do this, let me make one point of clarification. I have already said megahertz in this video. I may say megahertz again. I am well aware that technically speaking, it isn't megahertz. It should probably be referred to as megatransfers per second. And if you want to go a little bit further and get a little bit more technical, one could make the argument that it should be megabits per second whenever you're talking about RAM speed. However, for me, in my use case, I am simply referring to the advertised speed on the box when you purchase the RAM. So if I say megahertz, and if you think I'm wrong for that, that's fine, but please understand that is what I'm referring to. On my RAM box, it says 6000 megahertz. In my Asus motherboard BIOS, it says 6000 megahertz. That is exactly what it says. Here's a screenshot to prove it. But I will try to refrain from using that terminology, and I will try to simply say DDR5 6000. But if I slip up and say megahertz, I know we've had this whole exchange. Okay, RAM speed, let's talk about it. So RAM speed is important here because today I think most people are fine. In July of 2024, I definitely believe that if you walked into Micro Center today, you could pick up any AMD Expo kit that was certified to go DDR5 6000, take it home, pop it in, and it would probably hit 6000 all day long with no issues. But when you go back and look at the issues from a year ago, a lot of people were trying to go for that magical sweet spot of DDR5 6000, and they could not maintain it. Some people would turn it on and they couldn't even get into Windows. Other people like myself would turn it on, get the Windows, even go so far as to booting up a game, start playing, and then the system would crash. I've had this happen so many times. My system would not stay locked at DDR5 6000. It just wouldn't. I tried several different things. It simply would not work. Now, looking back on it, hindsight 2020, it could have been that I needed one of those AGISA updates. It could have been that I needed one of the motherboard compatibility updates. It could have been that I had Samsung RAM and maybe I should have just went with SK Hynix. It could have been something else I'm not even thinking about right now. But the point is, everyone believed that DDR5 6000 was the magical sweet spot. And so when you have that in your head and you go out and you spend your money on a brand new system and you go home and you turn on 6000 and you can't hit it, you think there's a problem with your system. But here's the reality of the situation. DDR5 6000 was an ideal target, but in reality, AMD never guaranteed that. If you go to AMD's website and if you look up any AMD Ryzen 7000 series CPU, you can see as clear as day. If you have 2 sticks of RAM, they guarantee DDR5 5200. And if you have 4 sticks of RAM, they guarantee DDR5 3600. And a lot of people simply never looked at this. A lot of people never even knew that these specifications were available on AMD's website. So many people did nothing more than watch a YouTube video where somebody ran DDR5 6000 and assumed, hey, they did it, so therefore I can do it, let me go do it. Now, the problem is when I come out and I make a video explaining this to people, some people are quick to say, oh, wow, okay, that makes sense. They downclock to 5200 and then they say, man, you fixed all of my issues. My system is totally smooth. Everything's stable. I have no issues. Thank you so much, man. You really fixed my system. I've had people say that. And then I've had other people say, hey, you're dead wrong. You don't know what you're talking about because I'm able to run 6400 on my RAM sticks with no problems at all. I have no idea what you're talking about. And there are so many things that go into that. And what I tell people is, hey, you have silicon lottery. Hey, you have a memory controller. And hey, by the way, you have a motherboard that has a BIOS on it, and maybe there's a BIOS update that adds extra RAM compatibility, and maybe your motherboard has it and somebody else's motherboard doesn't have it. That is why BIOS updates are so important, and you should stay on top of it. There's so many things that go into it, but overall, at the end of the day, there were a lot of issues with people trying to run DDR5 6000 and not being able to do that, and because of that, they thought there was something wrong with their system, and they got very upset about it. But today, in July 2024, I am using a DDR5 6000 kit that is not on my QVL, and it's running totally fine. I'm using it right now as I'm recording this, and I will use it when I edit, and I will use it whenever I game. I've already gamed on it. Everything's great. It's totally fine. RAM speed is a lot better today than it was a year ago. More people can now do DDR5 6000 than ever before, and more people are actually starting to push beyond that. And it will only continue to go further beyond that because we're getting new CPUs here pretty soon at the end of the month with AMD Ryzen 9000 series CPUs launching on July 31st, 2024. And who knows, maybe the memory controllers will be a little bit better. That remains to be seen. And with all that being said though, the timing of all of this simply could not be better. If I'm starting to sound a little bit like an AMD fanboy or something like that, I'm really not. What happened was I was actually pretty upset with my AM5 system from a year ago. And after I made all of my AM5 videos, I only continued to use my AM5 system for a couple of more months. And then I ditched it and I went to Intel. I bought a 14700K. I got some parts from Asus for review. People wanted me to test it with a 14900K, so I purchased a 14900K. Now I had a 14700K and a 14900K. And I used the 14700K as my main daily driver at first, and it was totally fine for about 3 months. After 3 months, I started getting these really weird system latency issues. My mouse was stuttering all over the screen, and then I started researching the problem, and I made a video series on it. It's a 2-part video series, and I talked about this extensively. And I spoke to many other tech YouTubers about this and tried to troubleshoot it and compare my Intel CPU to their Intel CPUs. And in fact, the first person to point this out was Brian over at Tech Yes City. He did an extensive multi-part video series on this issue, and then Techwando covered it, and then DannyzReviews covered it. And I spoke with all of these guys about this issue. It is not just a me issue. This is a legitimate Intel problem. And so now I was coming from the AM5 issues, going into Intel, and at first everything was great, and then everything was not so great because my system was very, very annoying. Do you have any idea how annoying it is to try to move your mouse to the left and it jumps to the right, or move to the right and it jumps to the left? It's incredibly annoying, and you can't really get anything done. And then I looked at, okay, well, maybe it's the 14700K. Let me go to the 14900K. I went to the 14900K and it was the exact same issue. And so then I started to look at, okay, let me switch back to AMD. Has it gotten any better? So the timing of all of this could not be better. Like, it really worked out flawlessly because everybody's asking, hey, it's been about a year. Is AM5 better? And I needed to get off of Intel and get to a system where I can just work and do my job without my mouse going all over the screen. So yeah, AM5's way better than it used to be, and it's definitely better than the current state of Intel. And if what's on the market isn't good enough, you have new CPUs dropping at the end of the month. I would say everything's looking up for AMD, AM5, all the things, good stuff here. Look, if you're looking to get a new CPU, if you're looking to get a new platform, today in July of 2024, I can confidently say I personally do recommend AM5. I give it a glowing review. It has definitely improved from where it was a year ago. I am not saying it's perfect. I am not saying it is flawless, but it is significantly better, definitely usable, and I would say reliable and now consistent. And hey, if you ever have issues, you can always join the Patreon, hop in the Discord, and everyone in there will be more than happy to try to help you troubleshoot your system and get you up and running if you have any problems. One last tip, update your BIOS. Make sure you stay on top of your chipset updates, your BIOS updates. It is so important. Update your BIOS. If you're looking to build a new system, check your QVL. Make sure you're buying high quality components with your motherboard. So just think about all that stuff and do some research. But overall, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, please do me a favor, hit that like button because it goes a long way in helping me out. If you're new, get subscribed, check out the Patreon link in the pinned comment below. And until next time, E-Rock out.